Welcome to English Stories from Fluent English, a place to relax, listen, and be inspired by the lives of extraordinary people. Look closely at this moment. A man weakened by a long and difficult battle with illness is on a minimalist stage. The year is 2010. He holds up a thin, glowing slab of glass and aluminum, the first ever iPad. Despite his visible frailty, his eyes are bright with an unyielding passion, an intensity that has not dimmed. This is Steve Jobs, a name synonymous with innovation. But his story is far more than just the tale of a brilliant inventor or a wildly successful businessman. It is a powerful, profound lesson in what it means to be human. It's a story about failure, about rejection, about love, and about the incredible, often hidden strength we all have inside of us to turn our biggest obstacles into our greatest triumphs. This story is about the incredible life of Steve Jobs, but it is also about you and the extraordinary potential that lies dormant within your own story. As you listen today, you will not only find your English skills improving naturally and effortlessly, but you will also absorb valuable life wisdom, timeless insights that can help you navigate your own unique journey with greater courage and clarity. So, find a quiet space, relax, and let us begin this journey together. Our story begins not in a gleaming corporate headquarters or a high-tech lab, but with a quiet, deeply personal struggle. Stephen Paul Jobs was born in San Francisco in 1955 and was immediately placed for adoption. His biological mother, a young unmarried graduate student, had one firm non-negotiable condition that her son be adopted by college graduates. A lawyer and his wife were chosen, and they were ready. But at the last moment when the baby was born, they changed their minds. They had decided they wanted a girl. The phone rang in the home of another couple on the waiting list, Paul and Clara Jobs. They were a humble, loving, working-class couple. Paul was a machinist and a brilliant mechanic. Clara was a bookkeeper. They had no college degrees, but they had an abundance of love and a deep desire for a child. When the birther discovered they were not college graduates, she was distraught. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. For weeks, a painful uncertainty hung over the infant's future. It was only after Paul and Clara made a solemn promise, a heartfelt vow that they would save every penny to ensure the boy would one day go to college, that she finally reluctantly agreed. From his very first days on Earth, Steve's life was defined by a strange paradox, a deep-seated feeling of being different, of being chosen and wanted, yet also of being abandoned and given away. This complex emotional foundation would become the fertile ground from which his intense personality, his relentless drive, and his profound desire to make a mark on the universe would grow. In life, we do not get to choose our starting point. We are all born into circumstances beyond our control. The ancient Stoic philosophers taught a powerful principle for navigating this reality: amorati, a Latin phrase that means a love of one's fate. It doesn't mean being passive. It means actively embracing everything that happens in our lives, both the good and the bad, as necessary and meaningful. Steve's story reminds us that our beginnings, no matter how humble, complicated, or painful, do not define our destiny. They are merely the first chapter. What truly matters is the courage we show in writing the chapters that follow. Your own story, with all its unique twists and turns, is your source of power. Its value lies not in where it began, but in the choices you make today. True to their promise, Paul and Clara Jobs worked tirelessly, making sacrifices to save for their son's college education. Steve was exceptionally bright, but he was also rebellious and felt like he didn't quite fit in. He was a thinker, a dreamer, but he was directionless. When the time came, he enrolled in Reed College, a very expensive and prestigious liberal arts school. But after only one semester, just 6 months, he saw no value in it. He couldn't understand how memorizing historical dates or attending required classes he had no interest in would help him discover who he was or what his purpose in life was. An intense feeling of guilt washed over him as he watched his working-class parents spend their entire life savings on his tuition. So, he made a radical, terrifying decision. He dropped out, but he didn't leave the campus. For the next 18 months, he became a drop-in. He had no dorm room, so he slept on the floor in his friends' rooms. He scavenged for money by returning used Coke bottles for 5 cents each. And every Sunday night, he would walk 7 miles across town to the local Hare Krishna temple to get one good hot free meal for the week. He was by all definitions broke and homeless. But he was also for the first time truly free. Free from the burden of required classes. He could now explore whatever sparked his curiosity. One day, he saw a poster for a calligraphy class. He was captivated by the beauty of the lettering, the artistry of the typography. He decided to drop in. He learned about serif and sans serif typefaces, about varying the space between different letter combinations, about what makes great typography, a beautiful historical and artistic craft. At the time, it seemed completely useless, a whimsical decision with no hope of any practical application in his life. How often do we fear stepping off the clearly marked path? How often are we told to be practical, to follow the safe route? Steve's journey through this period of deep uncertainty shows us a profound truth. Sometimes the most valuable moments of personal development happen not when we are following a plan, but when we are brave enough to be lost. The Stoics believed in the wisdom of focusing only on what you can control. Steve couldn't control his financial situation or his future, but he could control his curiosity. He could choose to learn for the pure joy of learning. That seemingly useless calligraphy class was a seed planted in the soil of his curiosity that would lie dormant for a decade before blossoming into something extraordinary. This teaches us a vital lesson. We cannot always connect the dots looking forward. We can only connect them looking back. So, you must trust. Trust that your intuition, your curiosity, your passions are leading you somewhere important, even if you can't see the destination yet. After a transformative trip to India, seeking spiritual enlightenment, Steve returned to his parents' home in California with a new perspective and a shaved head. He reconnected with his brilliant high school friend, Stephen Wunjak, a quiet and gentle genius of electronics. Wunjak, or was, had a passion for engineering and had single-handedly designed a remarkable personal computer board. To was, it was a fun hobby, a clever design to show off to his friends at the local homebrew computer club. But when Steve Jobs saw it, he didn't just see a circuit board. He saw the future. He saw a tool that could empower individuals and change the way people work, create, and communicate. In 1976, inside the cluttered garage of his childhood home, surrounded by the smell of solder and the hum of electronics, Apple Computer was born. With almost no money, they sold a VW van and a prized calculator to fund their start. They began a company built on a simple yet revolutionary idea to take the intimidating power of a computer and make it accessible and friendly for everyday people. This was the raw beginning of their journey into entrepreneurship, a journey that would not only make them famous, but would also help define the culture of Silicon Valley success. They were young, full of passion, and completely unaware that they were standing at the epicenter of a technological revolution they were about to ignite. The Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius remind us that our perception is our power. The universe is transformation. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Where one person sees a complicated piece of technology, another with a different perception sees a tool to change the world. Steve's particular genius was not just in technology itself, but in his vision. He possessed an innate understanding of the importance of the user experience long before it became a common term. He knew that for technology to be truly powerful, it had to be human. This teaches us that true leadership skills are not merely about managing people or projects. They're about holding a clear, compelling, and inspiring vision that lifts others to see what is possible. Your unique perspective on the world is your greatest asset. Cultivate it. Trust it. By the early 1980s, Apple had grown from a garage startup into a major corporation. But Steve was not satisfied. He was driven by a new, all-consuming obsession to create a computer that was not just good, but insanely great. This project was the Macintosh. He assembled a small hand-picked team of brilliant engineers and designers whom he called his pirates, and they raised a pirate flag over their building. He pushed his team to their absolute limits, demanding a level of artistry and perfection that was completely unheard of in the utilitarian world of product design. He was notoriously difficult, emotionally volatile, incredibly passionate, and absolutely uncompromising. He believed that a computer should be more than a tool. It should be a work of art, elegant, intuitive, and a joy to use. It was here in the design of the Macintosh that his seemingly random calligraphy class from his college days came roaring back into relevance. Steve insisted that the Macintosh have beautiful typography, multiple fonts, and proportionally spaced lettering, features that no computer had ever had. His engineers thought he was crazy, wasting precious memory and processing power on something so trivial. But Steve understood that beauty and detail mattered. He even obsessed over the parts of the computer that no one would ever see, demanding that the circuit boards inside be laid out beautifully. This relentless focus on beauty and simplicity is what made the Macintosh a revolution. It was the first mass-market computer that felt less like a cold, calculating machine and more like a friendly and empowering partner for creativity. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote that we should strive for virtue, not for popularity. He advised, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Steve's relentless, often maddening pursuit of his vision for the Macintosh made him unpopular with many. He was criticized for being too demanding, too harsh, a perfectionist. Yet, his commitment was not to being liked. It was to a higher standard of excellence. He was serving his vision. This is a powerful reminder that true lasting business innovation often requires the courage to be misunderstood in the short term. In your own work, in your own life, focus on the quality and integrity of your contribution, not on the immediate applause you might receive. True fulfillment and lasting impact come from knowing you have given your absolute best to something you believe in. Then, in 1985, the unthinkable happened. The very company that Steve had co-founded, the company that was his life's work, turned against him. After a bitter power struggle with the CEO he himself had hired, John Sculley, the board of directors, sided with Sculley. At the age of just 30, Steve Jobs was fired from Apple. It wasn't just a job loss. It was a public execution of his identity. He was devastated, humiliated. The very center of his creative life, the core of his being, had been ripped away from him in front of the entire world. He felt like a failure on a massive scale, and even considered leaving Silicon Valley for good, feeling that he had let everyone down. He would later reflect on this dark period with stunning clarity. "I didn't see it then," he said, "but it turned out that being fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life." He was lost, adrift. But as we will see, this crushing defeat was not an ending. It was a painful but necessary disguised blessing. This is perhaps the most powerful and practical Stoic lesson of all, encapsulated in the timeless words of the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Being fired was a monumental, soul-crushing obstacle for Steve, but he did not let it break him. He did not let bitterness consume him. Instead, he unconsciously used this failure as a doorway to reinvention. This event is a profound reminder for all of us that our most painful setbacks, our most devastating failures, can become our most powerful catalysts for growth and transformation. The obstacle you may be facing right now in your career, your relationships, your personal goals, is not the end of your story. It is a redirection. It is a new beginning waiting for you to see it. Freed from the immense pressures of running a massive publicly traded corporation, Steve's boundless creativity was unleashed. He did not retreat. Instead, he channeled his energy into new ventures. He started a new computer company called Next. The Next computer was a technological masterpiece, a stunning black cube that was years ahead of its time. While it was not a commercial success, the powerful object-oriented software developed for it would become incredibly important later in his story. At the same time, he took another huge risk. He purchased a small, struggling computer graphics division from filmmaker George Lucas for $10 million. That little company was named Pixar. Steve invested millions of his own money into Pixar year after year, keeping it alive with his belief in its potential to merge art and technology to tell stories in a new way. For years, Pixar bled money and struggled to find its footing. But Steve's belief in the team, led by visionaries like Ed Catmull and John Lasseter, never wavered. This small experimental studio would eventually go on to revolutionize the animation industry, creating a string of beloved, critically acclaimed films like Toy Story, Finding Nemo, and Up, and becoming a global powerhouse of storytelling. Starting again from scratch after such a public failure requires an immense amount of resilience. Steve's work with Next and Pixar demonstrates the incredible power of a long-term vision. He wasn't looking for a quick, easy win to soothe his ego. He was patiently investing in the future, playing the long game. This journey teaches us the critical importance of patience, persistence, and unwavering belief in any process of startup growth or personal mastery. Meaningful success rarely happens overnight. Like Steve, we must have the courage to plant seeds and nurture them with our attention and belief, even when the harvest seems uncertain and far away. Your emotional intelligence, your ability to handle setbacks, manage your own emotions, and stay focused on your long-term goals is one of the most vital skills for a successful and fulfilling life. By 1996, the company that had ousted him, Apple, was in a death spiral. It was reportedly just 90 days away from bankruptcy. The company had lost its way. Its product line was bloated and confusing, and most importantly, it had lost its innovative soul. In a stunning, dramatic turn of events, Apple, in a desperate move to acquire a modern operating system, decided to purchase Next Steve's company for over $400 million. And with that acquisition, Steve Jobs returned to the company that had once so coldly cast him out. He returned initially as an advisor, but soon the board, recognizing the chaos, asked him to step in as the interim CEO. He was walking back into a company on the verge of collapse, filled with demoralized employees and warring factions. But Steve returned with something he didn't have when he left: the wisdom born from failure. He was older, more focused, and his years in the wilderness had taught him invaluable lessons about mindset mastery, patience, and what truly matters in leadership. Steve could have returned to Apple filled with bitterness and a desire for revenge. It would have been a human response. Instead, he focused entirely on the present moment and the monumental task at hand. He practiced Amati again, embracing the strange twist of fate that brought him back. And he used all of his past experiences, the triumphs and the failures, to serve the future of the company he loved. This is a powerful lesson in focusing on what you can control. We cannot change the past. We cannot undo past hurts or injustices. But we can always choose how we respond to the present moment. Your true power lies not in dwelling on what has happened, but in bringing the full force of your wisdom and your best self to the challenges and opportunities of today. One of Steve's first and most significant actions upon his return was not to launch a new product, but to launch a new advertising campaign. It was called Think Different. The iconic television ad featured no products at all. Instead, it showed black and white footage of history's great rebels and visionaries. People like Albert Einstein, Martin Luther King Jr., Bob Dylan, and Mahatma Gandhi. A narrator spoke, "Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." This campaign wasn't about selling computers. It was about reminding the world, and more importantly, Apple's own employees, what the company stood for. It was a battle cry for passion, creativity, and the courage to challenge the status quo. Steve understood that before he could fix the products, he had to restore the company's soul. He took a metaphorical axe to the confusing product line, cutting dozens of models down to a simple 4-quadrant grid, a desktop and a portable for consumers, and a desktop and a portable for professionals. This radical simplification brought a clarity of purpose that was essential for the company's survival and became the foundation for its future business innovation. The great Stoic thinkers believed deeply in the importance of having a clear personal philosophy to guide your actions. The Think Different campaign was Apple's philosophy made public. It gave the company its why, its reason for being beyond just making a profit. It teaches us a crucial lesson for any endeavor. Whether in business, art, or personal development, having a clear set of values, a guiding purpose is paramount. You must know what you stand for. Your principles are your compass, giving you direction and stability in a world of constant change and confusion. In 1998, with the company's soul on the mend, Steve Jobs introduced the world to the iMac. It was unlike any computer ever seen before. It came in a bright, translucent Bondi blue shell, an all-in-one machine that looked more like a friendly creature from another planet than a piece of office equipment. It was fun, easy to use, and beautiful from every angle. The iMac was a massive runaway success, and it single-handedly saved Apple from the brink of collapse. It was the physical embodiment of the Think Different philosophy, a triumph of product design, and the first tangible proof that Apple was back. This marked the beginning of Apple's incredible renaissance, a period of unprecedented innovation that would see the launch of the iPod, the iTunes Store, the iPhone, and the iPad. Each product was guided by Steve's relentless, almost religious focus on three things: simplicity, beauty, and an unparalleled user experience. He believed technology should be so intuitive that it disappears, leaving only the user's experience. The iMac was far more than a successful product. It was a powerful statement. It was Steve's philosophy made tangible, a physical manifestation of his core beliefs. The Stoics teach that virtue is found not in words, but in action. It's not enough to have noble ideas or a strong philosophy. You must bring them to life through your work and your choices. The success of the iMac demonstrates the incredible power that is unleashed when your actions are in perfect alignment with your core principles. The lesson is clear. Don't just think differently, build differently, create differently, live differently. Let your actions be the evidence of your beliefs. Then, in 2007, Steve Jobs stood on a stage and prepared to introduce a product that would once again change everything. The anticipation in the room was electric. He masterfully built the suspense, telling the audience he was introducing 3 revolutionary products: a widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device. He repeated it: an iPod, a phone, an internet device. Then he revealed the truth. These are not 3 separate devices. This is one device, and we are calling it iPhone. The development of the iPhone was a monumental gamble, a top-secret project that required immense courage, faith, and secrecy. It was a project that could have easily failed and taken the resurgent Apple down with it. It completely redefined the world of mobile technology and in a very real way put the entire internet into our pockets. It was the ultimate culmination of Steve's entire life's work. The fusion of technology from Next, a deep appreciation for the liberal arts, and an obsessive focus on design and simplicity, all coming together in a device that was both incredibly powerful and beautifully simple to use. Bringing a product as revolutionary as the iPhone to market required immense fortitude. The technical, financial, and market risks were enormous. This reflects the essential Stoic virtue of courage, which is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act with purpose and integrity in spite of it. True progress, whether in technology, society, or in our own lives, requires us to take bold, calculated risks. It demands that we have the courage to pursue our vision with conviction, even when the outcome is uncertain and the critics are allowed. Your own greatest growth lies just on the other side of your comfort zone, waiting for you to act with courage. In 2003, at the very height of Apple's incredible resurgence, Steve Jobs faced his greatest and most personal challenge. A routine abdominal scan revealed a rare but treatable form of pancreatic cancer. His doctors initially told him he likely had only 3 to 6 months to live. For Steve, the stark, undeniable reality of his own mortality became the most powerful source of clarity he had ever known. In a now famous commencement speech at Stanford University, he shared this profound insight. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. He fought the disease for 8 long years, enduring surgery and treatment while continuing to lead Apple with unwavering passion and vision, launching world-changing products even as his health declined. The Stoics had a practice for this very purpose. They called it memento mori. Remember that you will die. They meditated on their mortality, not to be morbid or sad, but to live with more urgency, gratitude, and purpose. Steve's diagnosis gave him this perspective in the most direct and powerful way possible. It stripped away all the non-essentials and focused his attention with a laser-like precision on what truly mattered. His love for his family and his passion for creating tools that he believed could enrich people's lives. This is a profound lesson for all of us. We do not need a terminal diagnosis to live more fully. We can choose right now, today, to let go of the trivial fears and anxieties that hold us back and to focus on what gives our life true meaning and joy. In that same Stanford speech, Steve Jobs brought his life story full circle. He reflected on that seemingly random, impractical decision to drop out of college and take a calligraphy class. He explained that if he had never dropped in on that single course, the Mac would have never had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows essentially copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them. He couldn't connect those dots looking forward when he was a broke college dropout. But looking back, it was all perfectly, beautifully clear. You can't connect the dots looking forward. He famously said, "You can only connect them looking backwards." So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something. Your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. This approach has never let me down, and it has made all the difference in my life. This is the very essence of faith in the journey, a core element of lifelong resilience. The Stoics believed in accepting the natural flow of life, trusting that even events that seem random, negative, or pointless can have a purpose in the grander scheme of our lives. You may not understand why something difficult is happening to you right now. You may feel lost, uncertain, or that your efforts are going nowhere. But you must trust the process. Keep learning, keep growing, keep following your curiosity, and have faith that one day you will look back and see how all the disparate dots of your life connected in a way you never could have predicted. This trust is not passive. It is an active and powerful component of mindset mastery. Steve Jobs passed away in October 2011. But his legacy is not just in the glowing rectangles we carry in our pockets and purses. His true enduring legacy is his story, a powerful human testament to the uncrushable power of the human spirit. His journey teaches us that failure is not final. It is merely a redirection. It teaches us that obstacles are not roadblocks. They are opportunities in disguise waiting to show us a better way. It teaches us that the relentless pursuit of excellence requires courage, passion, and an unwavering commitment to our deepest held vision. And most poignantly, it teaches us that life is fragile and precious, and that the best way to honor the gift of our time is to live with purpose, to love deeply, and to approach each day with a sense of wonder and appreciation. The lessons from Steve Jobs' incredible life, illuminated by the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy, are not just for famous innovators or titans of industry. They are for you. You have your own unique journey, your own set of challenges, and your own incredible untapped potential waiting to be unlocked. So as you go about your day, as you continue your journey of learning English and building your life, remember his story. Approach your goals with creativity and resilience. Lead with your values, not with fear. Embrace your own unique story with all its successes, failures, and unexpected turns with courage, curiosity, and an open heart. You are the author, the artist, the architect of your own story. Go and make it an insanely great one.